Today we are talking about 12 important things you need to know before you come to Australia. If you want to save money, avoid mistakes and make your trip unforgettable, then this video is a must watch. Whether it's for permanent residency, as a student or visiting Australia as a tourist, this video has answer to all your questions. But here's the thing, Australia is massive and stunning and it can be really overwhelming for first-time visitors. I know you have questions like, how do you decide where to go when you have so many incredible places to visit? How should I pack when each state has completely different weather? What is the best season to visit so I can save most of my money? How much should I budget for essentials like mobile plans? Where should I book my accommodation? Airbnb or hotel close to the city or suburbs? How much cash should I carry and is it easy to find currency exchange? Which apps will make my trip easier, enjoyable and help me save money? But don't you worry, this video will tackle all these questions so you can enjoy your Australian travel like a pro. This video will save you hours of wasted time and endless scrolling, giving you all the essential information you need in one place. Section 1. Apps you must have. Make sure you download Uber, Didi and Ola for ride sharing. When we travel, we use Waze app. It gives you real-time traffic updates like congestions, accidents, road closures and police presence. The AllTrail app is a popular tool for outdoor activities, particularly hikers, runners and mountain bikers. If you will be using public transport like trams and trains, you should download the following apps for timetables and fares. If you are visiting Queensland, download the Translink app. If you are visiting Sydney, download the Opal app. And if you are visiting Victoria, download the Myki app. Let's talk about food and restaurants. Download Zomato for restaurant reviews, menus and food delivery options. Uber Eats, Menulog and Deliveroo for food delivery from local restaurants. And this is a must-have app which is called Eat Club. It offers last-minute discounts at participating restaurants and you can save up to 30% on food through last-minute offers. Next up, what apps would you need for activities and attractions? Make sure you have Klook downloaded. There are a few other options like Get Your Guide and Viator for booking tours, activities and experiences. If you want to find local events, festivals and activities, download Eventbrite. Shopback or Cash Rewards to earn cashback on bookings, shopping or dining. And last but not the least, Australian Slang Dictionary. It's a fun app to understand Aussie lingo. Now let's move on to section 2, what to explore. Melbourne, Sydney or Queensland and how long should you spend here? It's easy to underestimate how large Australia is, so don't fall into the trap of trying to see everything in one go. So let's break it down into 3 different scenarios to help figure out what's best for you. If you're here for a short vacation, which is around about 7 to 10 days, you will need to be smart with your time because distances are large. I would suggest to stick to a major city and their surroundings. I recommend choosing between Sydney or Melbourne, and here is why. Now, Sydney offers that iconic Australian experience. You can explore Sydney Opera House, Bondi Beach and the Harbour Bridge. Plus, if you're into beaches, it's hard to beat the Sydney's coastal lifestyle. But Sydney isn't just about beaches and city vibes. You can take a day trip to Blue Mountains or Hunter Valley for wine tasting. Now let's talk Melbourne. Melbourne is more artsy, cultural and laid back. You will find incredible food, art galleries and that famous coffee culture. Plus, Melbourne is great base for exploring nearby attractions like Great Ocean Road, Phillip Island for the Penguin Parade or the Yarra Valley for wine lovers. If you are into more of a cultural and food scene, Melbourne is your pick. In this short time frame, I'd recommend sticking to just one of these cities to fully immerse yourself into the vibe and do a couple of day trips to the local destinations rather than rushing through multiple locations. Now let's talk about scenario number 2. If you have about 2 weeks, you can definitely afford to explore more than one region. A popular itinerary here would be to combine Sydney and Queensland. Spend few days in Sydney to get the city and coastal experience and then fly up to Queensland, specifically Cairns or the Gold Coast depending upon what you are into. Queensland is where you will find the Great Barrier Reef, a bucket list experience you cannot miss and is a must-see if you love diving, snorkeling or marine life. You can explore Daintree Rainforest, go on a reef cruises or even spend some time relaxing in beach town like Port Douglas. Alternatively, the Gold Coast offers more of a surf and sand vibe, perfect for thrill seekers who love theme parks, nightlife, and golden beaches. You could also head to Whitsundays for more relaxed, luxurious experience with wide sandy beaches and crystal clear waters. Scenario number 3, the extended stay, 3 to 4 weeks or more. Then you can explore Melbourne, Sydney, and Queensland thoroughly, and even add in some lesser known destinations. Start with Melbourne, spend a week here soaking in the city's culture, doing the Great Ocean Road Drive, and taking day trips to places like Wilson Prom or Mornington Peninsula. Don't miss the Great Ocean Road and 12 Apostles. Fly to Sydney for about 5 days. You will cover the major attractions and have time for a day trip to places like Jervis Bay if you want to see the whitest sand beaches in the world, or head to the Blue Mountains for some hiking and scenic views. Then head up to Queensland for 7 to 10 days. Split your time between Cairns for the Great Barrier Reef and the Sunshine Coast, or Gold Coast for more laid-back beach holidays. If you are into outback experience, you could even consider adding a visit to Uluru in the Northern Territory, or taking a road trip to more remote areas of Australia. Now let's move on to section 3 and talk about attractions and places you cannot miss if you are in Melbourne. Great Ocean Road and 12 Apostles, famous Flinders Street Station, Peninsula Hot Springs in Mornington, hot balloon over Melbourne CBD, and Melbourne Sky Deck, where you will hop on the fastest lift in the Southern Hemisphere. In Sydney, obviously Sydney Opera House and Harbour Bridge, day trip to the Blue Mountains, the famous Bondi Beach, and the world famous Grand Pacific Drive. In Queensland, UNESCO World Heritage Great Barrier Reef, Daintree Rainforest, and Cape Tribulation are must-visit destinations. If Tassie is on your card, Cradle Mountain, Dove Lake, Wineglass Bay are must-visit. Seasons and best time to visit. Since Australia is in the Southern Hemisphere, the seasons are the opposite of those in the Northern Hemisphere. The Australian summer season is from December to February, perfect for surfing, swimming, and outdoor barbecues. However, in the tropical regions like Cairns and the Great Barrier Reef, it's also the wet season, so expect rain and possible cyclones. Here's a quick tip. Be mindful of the busy holiday season in December and January, when many Australians are also on vacation, leading to crowded attractions and higher prices, and not getting Airbnb, caravan parks, hotels, motels, pretty much they are all booked out. And if you're visiting Melbourne, be sure to pack a rain jacket and a windbreaker. Melbourne is famous for showing you all 4 seasons in a single day. The Australian autumn season is from March to May. This is one of the best times to visit Australia. The weather is cooler and more pleasant across most regions, making it perfect for sightseeing, outdoor activities, and exploring cities. This season is less busy, leading to more relaxed travel and lower prices for accommodations. Here's a quick tip. If you're a foodie, autumn is a festival season in many Australian cities, including the famous Melbourne Food and Wine Festival. The Australian winter season is from June to August. If you are a snow lover, Australia's southern region, especially the Victorian Alps and snowy mountains, are ideal for skiing and snowboarding. Here's a quick tip. Winter is also a fantastic time to visit Uluru, which is Ayers Rock, and the outback, as temperatures are much more bearable than scorching summer heat. The Australian spring season is from September to November. This is an excellent time for hiking, especially in the national parks. Here's a big tip. Autumn and springs are considered the shoulder seasons, which often come with the benefits of fewer tourists, cheaper accommodation, and less crowded attractions compared to the peak summer months. Now moving on to section 5, let's talk about transportation. Traveling between cities in Australia can take time. If you are here for a shorter stay, I would recommend booking flights if you are visiting different states. Flight times between cities range from 1 to 5 hours. Here's a quick tip. I highly recommend subscribing to airline marketing promotions, as they often feature fantastic deals such as flight for just $49 per person. The major airlines to look out for will be Qantas, Jetstar, and Virgin Australia. Occasionally, you can find enticing full package deals that include flight, hotel stays, and breakfast. We snagged a great deal for our trip to Cairns that bundled everything together. Now let's talk cars and camper vans. Here's a quick recommendation. Renting a car or a camper van is one of the best ways to explore Australia, especially if you plan to visit remote areas or take scenic road trips like the Great Ocean Road or the Outback. How much is the cost? Average daily rental cost range from $40 to $100. Expect to pay extra for insurance, GPS, and additional drivers. If you're planning to hire a camper van, the daily rate for camper van typically ranges from $100 to $250. This will also depend on the season. During summer, the cost will be more. Here's a quick tip. Book in advance for best deals. vehicles, consider fuel cost, which can range from $1.50 to $2 per liter. Remember that in Australia, cars drive on the left hand side of the road. I will link some of the best websites in the description down below for you to have a look at the rental cars and the camper van finders. Now let's talk about trains. Australia's train network offers a scenic and comfortable way to travel between major cities. Two of the most iconic long distance train journeys are the Indian Pacific and the Ghan. However, these are considered luxury experiences. Prices in the shoulder season start at around $2,800 per person. Include a link to the best train service in the description below for you to check out. If I haven't scared you off yet, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me keep creating more free informative videos like this. Your support means the world. Thank you so much. Section 6, where to stay. If you're visiting as a tourist for a short trip, my top recommendation is to stay in the inner city suburbs or right in the CBD, which is Central Business District. Plus, you can rent a bike or a scooter and explore at your own pace, soaking up the local atmosphere. Moving on to section 7, currency and best cards to use. We primarily use credit and debit card. Cash is still accepted, and if you prefer to use cash, ATMs are readily available throughout the cities. Consider using TransferWise card, now known as Wise. This is my personal recommendation. We have taken this card to all the international locations with ease. There are some amazing benefits of TransferWise. Multi-currency support. With the Wise card, you can hold multiple currencies in your account. This means you can convert your money at real exchange rate and spend in Australian dollars without the high fees typically associated with foreign transactions. Wise offers lower transparent fees. This can save you significant amounts, specifically if you are traveling long term or making large purchases. Here's a quick tip. If you use international debit card to withdraw cash, you will be charged $2 per transaction. Now let's move on to section 8. What is the tipping culture like? Tipping is not common here. In Australia, tips are usually included in the price of your meal, and workers in the restaurant and hospitality are paid a fair wage. This means you don't have to leave a tip, and most people don't expect one. Moving on to section 9, mobile phone plans. When it comes to mobile phone plans, Australia has several major network providers including Telstra, Optus and Vodafone. Here's a quick tip. Check the mobile plan and compare before your travel starts so you know what you're after. You can check these two websites to compare prepaid plans. The first website is Whistleout and the second one is finder.com.au. I will leave the link to the website in the description down below. Tip number 2. Telstra and Optus are two main mobile networks in Australia, so if you're planning to explore regional areas and have access to two phones, yours and partners or friend, I highly recommend that one of you use Telstra while the other use Optus. This way you will have better chances of staying connected as each network covers different regions. Just heads up, Telstra plans might be more expensive compared to other providers. Moving on to section 10, what to pack. Here's what you will need. Pack lightweight clothes for summer, December to February, such as t-shirt, shorts and dresses. Australia can be quite hot, especially in the north. If you're visiting in winter, June to August, especially in southern cities like Melbourne, Sydney or Tasmania, bring warm clothes like sweaters, jackets and long pants. Don't forget the beanie. Australia can be unpredictable, especially in cities like Melbourne, which is known for having 4 seasons in a day. A waterproof jacket is handy for unexpected showers. For beaches in Sydney and Gold Coast or Great Barrier Reef, don't forget your swimsuit. Australia is great for walking, whether exploring cities, hiking the national parks or strolling along beaches. Pack comfortable walking shoes, hiking boots or sandals. Sun protection. Australia has some of the highest UV levels in the world, so sun protection is essential. Sunscreen SPF 30 or higher is what I will recommend. A good pair of UV blocking sunglasses is a must. Wide brimmed hat. A hat will protect your face and neck from the harsh sun, specifically if you are spending time outdoors. Power adapter. Australia uses Type I power outlets, so pack a universal adapter if needed. Include a basic first aid kit, band-aids, painkillers and any personal medication, and don't forget to declare them. Insect repellent is a must, particularly if you are visiting tropical areas or planning to camp or hike. Now let's move on to delicious section 11. Australia is a melting pot of cultures, so get ready to explore a diverse array of food options. You will find everything from modern Australian cuisine to fresh seafood, Asian, Italian, Mediterranean dishes and hearty meat barbecues. Don't forget to dive into the vibrant craft beer and wine scene along with country's fantastic coffee culture. Here are some must-try foods and drink to indulge that you should not miss. choice. Meat pies, a savory pie filled with minced meat, gravy and sometimes vegetable. It's a classic Australian comfort food. Look for local favorites like chunky beef or lamb rosemary. Number 2, lamingtons, a sponge cake square coated in chocolate and rolled in parched coconut. Sometimes they are filled with cream or jam. Number 3, pavlova, a meringue-based dessert topped with whipped cream and fresh fruits like kiwi fruit, strawberries, passion fruit. Number 4, Vegemite, a thick dark spread made from yeast extract. It's typically spread on toast with butter or margarine. Here's a quick tip, guys. Vegemite can be an acquired taste, so start with a thin layer. It's beloved staple in Australian households. Number 8, Australian wines. Australia is known for its exceptional wines, particularly from regions like Barossa Valley and Margaret River. Don't miss trying a Shiraz or a Chardonnay. Number 9, craft beer. The craft beer scene in Australia is booming, with many local breweries offering unique and flavorful beers. Look for options like pale ale, IPAs and stouts. Number 10, street food. Markets like Queen Victoria Market in Melbourne or the Glebe Market in Sydney are great places to sample various foods. Moving on to section 12, overall safety. A lot of people ask this question, is Australia safe? Australia is an extremely safe country with low crime rates compared to many other nations. However, like any country, incidents can happen, so it's important to stay aware and use common sense. Here are some top tips. Australia's wildlife is diverse and some animals can pose risk to humans like snakes and spiders. However, dangerous animal encounters, especially in major cities, are very rare. I have lived here for nearly 10 years and such encounters are uncommon. I have encountered snakes in the wild while hiking, especially in remote areas during summer. If you're planning to hike, be sure you wear appropriate gaiters and carry a snake bite medical kit for added safety. This is your top tip, guys. Every place you go here in Australia, you will find a warning sign. Pay attention to the warning signs and local advice, particularly when visiting national parks, beaches, or areas known for wildlife like jellyfish, sharks, crocodiles, snakes, and spiders. Drowning incidents involving tourists do happen, so if you're not a confident swimmer, it's safer to stay out of the water. Swim only in designated areas and wear protective clothing or gear if necessary. Now, do you know about rips or rip currents? They are one of the most common hazards at Australian beaches, and knowing how to spot and avoid them is crucial for safe swimming. A rip is a strong, narrow flow of water that moves quickly from the shore out to the sea. It can pull swimmers away from the beach, making it hard to swim back. Keep in mind, signal for help by raising one arm. I would highly recommend that you always swim between the flags at the patrolled beaches. These areas are monitored for safety. Also, avoid swimming at unpatrolled beaches, specifically if you are unfamiliar with the conditions. Now, before entering the water, check for any warning signs about strong currents. Now, let's move on to section 13, drinking water. If you're here for 2 weeks or maybe more, spending on water can be a bit expensive. 600 ml water bottle from a supermarket or a vending station will cost you anywhere between $3 to $4. Here are a few tips to save money on water while in Australia. Carry a reusable water bottle. Tap water in Australia is clean and safe to drink almost everywhere, so you can refill your bottle at public water fountains, cafes or parks. When dining out, ask for tap water instead of a bottled water. It's free and perfectly safe. New addition to our travel. So this is how small this is, and this is a 600 ml. It has a filter inside it as well. Yeah. This is a small filter and this is how the bottle looks like. Okay, I'll show you when I fill it. This is how it looks, guys, after it's filled, and as you squeeze in, it gets smaller and smaller, but this is amazing. I love it. One surprising thing you might not expect if you have never been to Australia is that public toilets are free and incredibly clean. This is a great news if you're planning to explore the city for hours or if you're going hiking or camping. Don't hesitate to use them. I have traveled to other countries where public toilets aren't always the best, but in Australia, they are very well maintained. Another thing to keep in mind when camping or hiking in national park is that many of the toilets are dry or composting toilets. If you are not used to these, be prepared for a different experience.